Hi ladybugs. So I am doing 2 videos tonight because I already did one, but I wanted to get back on and do another one. As I said earlier, I am having a horrible day today, but it will get better. So we're going to dress Kenya right now. I was going to dress the other 2, but I decided that Kenya needs to get dressed. So we're going to dress her. And she is the Bonnie by Linda Murray. Isn't she pretty? She's a very pretty baby. She was painted by Victoria Golden, who is an artist in Russia. And I just think she's so pretty. She is a straight leg baby, so she stands. She doesn't have armatures. If she did have armatures, she would be able to stand unassisted, but because she doesn't have armatures, she has to lean against something or, near something like that. I have the hiccups all of a sudden. So she is so pretty though, and so realistic. I just love her. Her legs it's a little bit more difficult to handle a toddler that's got the straight legs. They're not as easy to hold. They're not as cuddly, but she is just so pretty that I just don't care. I love her to pieces. So we're going to dress her. So I, as I said before, I had a rough day today. It was just a stressful day. And when I have a stressful time, I love to come down into my nursery and just play with the babies and just dress them and relax. It is basically my happy place. You know what I mean? I'm sure you guys have that feeling too with your babies. It's a de-stressor. It puts your focus on something else. I'm not really thinking about what it is that's bothering me. I'm just thinking about my babies and, what I can do to make them pretty and do their hair and stuff like that. And that's awesome. This girl she's one of my bigger toddlers, although I do have a couple Bonnies. I think with the straight legs, she's the biggest. And I have a Perla who's bigger in size, but as far as besides the Perla, who's a child size, I think she's about the size of a 3-year-old. This one is the next biggest. And so she, I totally lost my train of thought there. Sorry, guys. But she's taller because she stands. And I have one that stands, another Bonnie that stands. And she is got the armature inside, the wire armature. So she can actually stand unassisted and hold herself up and everything, which is really nice for pictures. I took a picture of her a while ago and she was wearing mommy's clothes, which was really sweet. That's something I hadn't done with the babies before, and it was very sweet. This actually is, I think it's a 3. No, it's a 2T. But it fits my Perla, who's my child-sized doll, and I will put her on a video very soon. I'm trying to get, in the first few months of videos, I want to get all the babies on a video getting dressed. It's going to take a while because I have quite a few, but I really want to get all the babies on the videos. So that's kind of my goal, is to get them all on videos where they're getting dressed, so you guys can see them and tell me who your favorites are and who you want to see more of. What is you guys' favorite babies? Tell me in the comments down below. What is your favorite baby that you have? What is your favorite kit? What is your favorite size baby? If you can't pick a favorite baby in your collection, then what is your favorite size baby? Do you like the preemies? Do you like the newborns? The 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, whatever. A lot of people say that these 28-inch babies fit best in 12 to 9 months. I really like my clothes kind of big and baggy, so I use anywhere from 12 months, 18 months, and 2T on my 28-inch babies. And yes, some of the 2Ts are really big, but I actually like the way they fit. I don't know why, I'm just kind of weird like that. So, yeah. I do know that they can fit in 9 to 12 months, and even some 6 to 9 months, but I just like them to be, you can get a different style of clothes in 2T because you're getting more into the kid sizes. So they're a little bit different styled in some cases than the baby clothes. And I really like that. So some of the clothes like this one, you can't get them in the size that's below 2T because that's going down into baby sizes, and they have different looks for babies. So I really enjoy buying the 9 to 12 months and the 18 months, but then also being able to get the 2T for some of my bigger toddlers. Because, like I said, it's a different style of clothing, and you can kind of get different looks from it. I just had my brush, and now I've misplaced it. So anyway, yeah, so I put them in anything from like 6 to 9 months if they're on the bigger side, and then the 18 months and the 24 months if, there it isn't. 24 months if they're, oh, there it is. 24 months if the clothes are on a little bit of the smaller side. So I have a lot of people who say, oh, my 28-inch toddlers, they don't fit in, 2T, it's too big. But I happen to like them kind of big and baggy. So this is her, and she's a 28-inch toddler, and she's wearing a 2T. And see, it's baggy, but it's not, like, enormous. She's not swimming in it. So, yeah, I guess it's just a personal choice, personal preference. Kind of like when you have your kids, you kind of like them in a certain look. And that's how I am with my babies. And I've really gotten into the toddlers lately. I actually never had toddlers like this, like where I had so many toddlers, until recently. And I've really gotten into the toddlers. And now I want to say I have, I don't know, 20 or 30 toddlers. I mean, I have quite a few. And I just love, you can do different poses and different pictures with toddlers than you can do with babies. Not that the babies aren't fun, they are. And as I said in a previous video, I have a really hard time bonding with newborn babies. I don't know why that is, because one of my girls was born really small, but so I do know that there are small babies out there, but for whatever reason, they just, maybe it's the weight, they just don't have that same calming effect when they're really tiny. I prefer the bigger babies, the 23 inches and up. The babies that I have the most of is Saskia. I have 11 Saskias, and they all look different, and I will have to introduce you guys to them at some point. But the Saskia I have the most of, and then I have the other ones that I have duplicate kits is I have 4 Katie Maries, 3 Bonnies, I have 2 Maisies, I have 4 or 5 Evelyns, not anymore because I just recently traded one. I have 2 Brooklyns and 2 Jessies, and I think that's all the ones I have doubles of. And I only have 3 tiny babies. That's the Chase by Bonnie Brown, the Willa by Cassie Brace, and the Sunny by Joanne Kazmiak, I think that's how you say it. And those are very special babies. The Willa was given to me by my sister, and so she's special for that reason, as was Tommy J, who is my Chase. He was also given to me by my sister. And my Sunny was given to me by my best friend who passed away several years ago from cancer. And that was the only baby she ever bought me. And she bought her like a week before she passed away. And she came like a couple days before she passed away. So that's a very special baby. I'll never get rid of those 3. But as far as like collecting newborns, I'm just not really into the newborn style, They're, like I said, their weight doesn't do a whole lot for me. So yeah, I really like my babies to be 23 inches and up. In fact, my very first baby was the Jessie by Donna Rupert, or by Bountiful Baby. And she is 22 inches, and she was just the perfect size. And then I thought, because I love little babies, I thought, well, I probably would like the newborns. And I kind of got really into newborns for a while. But the more newborns I had, the more I realized my bond with them just wasn't as strong. I had a really hard time bonding with new babies that were newborn size, and it just wasn't working for me. So eventually I just was like, okay, well, I'm going to pass on this, and I'm going to go back to what I do love, which is the bigger babies. And then I had a couple toddlers, but I didn't really get into the toddlers like hardcore until this last few months. And then I really, like the last maybe 6 or 7 months, and then I really got into the toddlers. So this is Kenya, and she is the Bonnie by Linda Murray again. And we're going to put some shoes on her. Put her sneakers back on. I love these little sneakers with the little bows on the front. They're so cute. I know when I'm really stressed or having a bad day, that the one thing I can do to cheer myself up is to come down here and play with the babies. Like, I just know that's going to de-stress me. It's going to cheer me up. It's going to make me feel good. And that's, just really important to me. So that's one of the reasons that I like having my own space with the babies, is because I can kind of get away from everybody and come down here and play with my babies and not really have to think about much. You know what I mean? I can just lose myself in the babies. There she is. Isn't she beautiful? Like I said, she was painted by Victoria Golden in Russia, and she's just a gorgeous little girl. You gonna look at the camera, babe? There you go. So this is Kenya. So what do you guys do? The other thing I do when I'm feeling really stressed or just having a bad day is a lot of times I'll take a bath. I love soaking in the tub. It's good for my muscles, it's good for my joints. It's really helps me relax, and I like it a lot. So that's what I do a lot of times when I feel stressed. I take a bath. I have a nice big jacuzzi tub, and that's really nice. So I wanted to get these little jeans. So I have a nice big jacuzzi tub. I love that. We're going to dress Shiley next. And so I take baths, and yeah. The other thing I do is I do crafts. I do paper crafts. So I make cards and albums and stuff. And I'll have to show you guys one of my albums sometime. But I find that very relaxing too. It focuses my attention on something other than whatever's bothering me. And I can just kind of create. Did you know that even I'm sure most of you do know this, but even in ancient times when people were like cave people, they still found a way to create. They still found a way to invent, to create. The yearning to create is like universal to humans. We have a desire to create something. Even if people are not into arts and crafts or things like that, they still have a desire to create. It's the food for the human mind. It's the nutrition, the nourishment is creating something. We are designed to create and to invent and to push the limits of what we know. It's in our design. It's in our DNA. And most people would say that they really enjoy creating something, even cooks create, it's not just arts and crafts. And so I think that that's one of just an innate desire to create is one of the reasons that I like to relax by doing cards. And I can make some really pretty cards. It's fun. I have so much paper and so much supplies. And I just love sitting down with a stack of paper and then creating something out of it, taking that and transforming it into something new. It's really amazing, and it makes me so happy, and it just brings a lot of peace to me. So I have my babies, I take baths, I have my dogs, obviously, because we have 7 of them, and my dogs are very helpful when I'm having a bad day. And I have my paper crafts. And so that's pretty much what I do with my time. I do the babies, I do the paper crafts, and I like to cook, although I can't always do it because of my mobility and the fact that my body is not always very good. Sometimes my body works better than others. And so, yeah, that's after the stroke, I had some permanent left side paralysis. And so that's been kind of hard. You can probably tell when I speak, one side of my face moves significantly better than the other. And so I have to deal with that with the left side paralysis. The stroke was originally caused by my Ehlers-Danlos syndrome because I had, it wasn't a clotting stroke, it was a bleeding stroke. And for a long time, I even had a stutter. And thankfully, I've gotten past that. So hopefully I won't have any other strokes for a while. And then not only have I had the main stroke, but I've had some small TIAs over the years. And those can be very devastating as well. So I'm hopeful. So far it hasn't been too bad. Even with the major stroke, I was able to recover for the most part. I mean, I still have issues with the left side, but it's not nearly as bad as it could have been. So I'm very grateful for that. I try to see the good in every situation. Even if it's a bad situation, I try to find the good in it, because if you don't, then you just get weighed down with whatever the bad part is. And it can be really like depressing and devastating to people to have to look at just the bad side. You know, it's very difficult to like find a way to get through it if you can't see the positive at all. And I really do try my hardest. I don't always succeed, but I try my hardest to find the positive in every situation, because it doesn't matter how dark the cloud, there is always something positive that you can find in it, you know? And so I think that's a good thing to do, to look for the positive in a situation, and always remember that it could be worse. It could always be worse. Whatever you're dealing with could always be worse. So it's always important to be grateful for the good things in your life, even if you're having a hard time with some of the negative things in your life. Life is not for the faint of heart. That's for sure. Life is tough. You know, I told my kids when they were teenagers and they were getting ready to grow up on their own, and I told them, life is not lollipops and butterflies. You know, if you think that, you're going to be in for a rude awakening. Life is hard. There is always something going wrong and always something testing you. And it's really important to try to find the positive in those situations, because if you don't, you almost give yourself nothing to go forward for. You know what I mean? I spent a long time when I was contemplating, I was very depressed and I was contemplating self-deletion. And I really, for a long time, did not have the ability to see the future and see the brightness in my life. And what I realized in that is that if all you're going to focus on in your life is the darkness, all you're going to have is darkness. And I just didn't want that. I didn't want to be unhappy all the time. You know, I wanted to find joy in my life. And now I've learned to find joy in the little things. Like when I'm having a bad day, I can go outside and just look at the flowers and see the beauty that God has created. And that will lift my spirits, if only for a moment. You know, I always, when I go out with my family, I always smile and talk to strangers and say hello and how are you doing? And most of my family is much more reserved than I am. They're not as outgoing as I am. And a lot of times they'll say, why do you do that? Why do you go out and talk to people? And the reason is because I have been incredibly depressed. I've been in very bad situations. And I know that sometimes the only thing that can kind of put life on pause for you and have you rethink maybe some very bad thoughts that you're having is when somebody maybe smiles at you. And for a moment, you see the goodness in others. That can, and oftentimes does, take people from a very dark place to a much better place. It's a reminder, is it even? No. It's a reminder that there is goodness in the world. It's a reminder that things are not nearly as bad as they seem at that moment. And it's a reminder that if they can find joy, so can you. And that's why I wanted to start doing these videos, mainly because I want to show people that, yes, life is hard and bad things happen to us all. But there is always hope for a better future. There is always hope for another day. You know, as long as you wake up tomorrow and you have that day, you can make it anything you want. It doesn't have to be a repeat of today. As long as you have tomorrow, you have hope. And that sometimes that's the only good thing we can find. But in my book, that's the only good thing that we need. You know, the only good thing that we need sometimes is just to remember that we have the chance to make tomorrow different, whether that be better, the same. We have that opportunity. And as long as you have that opportunity, you're blessed, because there are a lot of people in the world who will go to bed tonight and will not have tomorrow. You know, they won't have tomorrow to fix their mistakes or to say things they should have said today. Don't put off anything that you can do today for tomorrow. Don't procrastinate, because you're never guaranteed tomorrow. None of us are. None of us are guaranteed it. And so you don't want to wait to say something that really you needed to say or should have said and didn't, because you thought, well, I'll say it tomorrow. You know, tomorrow is a gift, but it's not a gift that's guaranteed. So if there's anything you need to say to people, to friends, to loved ones, to family, tell them now. Don't wait until tomorrow. And here's another tidbit of advice for a better life. Don't ever end the day angry, okay? If you're having problems with someone, either let it go or work it out, because you don't want, trust me, I know people who have, the last thing they said to somebody was something negative, and they regret it for their entire lives. You know, my best friend and I, the one who I was telling you about before, who passed away of cancer, she and I had gone on a camping trip together about a year before she passed. And we had some issues on that camping trip due to one of her children. And for nearly 8 months after that, we talked, but it wasn't like it was before. And I let that fester, and I let that sit, and I let that, get in the way of our friendship for quite a while. And then she got diagnosed. And she went from being diagnosed to passing away in about 8 months. And after she passed away, I will never, never forgive myself for the time that I wasted with her, the time that I could have had with her that I didn't. And I never imagined that she would pass away so quickly. I never imagined that I would not have the chance to make that time up, but I didn't. And even though we did have time together at the end, it still was time that was wasted. So don't waste time with people because of, I don't want to say petty, because if you guys are angry, you might have something real serious to be angry about. But if it's worth fixing, fix it. And if it's not, then move on with your life and find something else, because it's not worth it. The human heart is not meant to contain that much, to contain anger like that. The more anger you hold in your heart, the more chance you have of ending up with some disease like cancer, because anger lowers your immune system. So does depression and sadness. If you can try and work it out, then great, work it out. But if you can't work it out, or it's not worth working out, then just let it go and move on. The human heart is not meant to contain negative emotions for a long period of time. And when you do, it literally affects your body. It affects your organs. It affects your brain. It's just not worth it. When people say you forgive, you look so pretty, Shyly. When people say forgive for you, not for the other person, it's true. You do want to forgive for you. You want to move on, and you want to let all those negative emotions go, because the human heart just can't handle it. It ends up breaking in the end. But there have been studies where it has been proven that negative emotions, or people who are depressed, or people who hang on to grudges and stuff, actually have a higher rate of certain diseases like cancer and high blood pressure and other things, heart disease. And it's, the reason is that negativity that you have inside you, if you have it takes a toll on your body. It can suck the life right out of you. And I'll tell you right now, nobody is worth that. Nobody is worth you harming your health because of something. Don't hold anger in your heart, or frustration, or resentment. Just let it go. It's not worth it. It's not worth it to you, and it's certainly not worth it to the other person. I just hope that everybody is having a great night, and that if you have anything that needs to be said to somebody, or you have anything you need to let go of, that you let go of it. If you don't believe in God, and that's fine. I have nothing against people who have different beliefs. Give it up to the universe, or give it up to whatever, something that you do believe in. And just let somebody who has a better job description than you deal with it. Do you know what I mean? The human body, the human heart, the human mind is just not meant to contain all those negative feelings and emotions that we sometimes get for long periods of time. And it's a danger to you and your health to hang on to that. It really is. So my advice to anybody who's going through something that is negative, that's weighing on their heart, is don't let that sit on your heart one more night, okay? Whatever it is, let it go and move on, because you're worth it. You're worth a good life. You're worth happiness. And the reality is the only person that can get you there is you. Nobody else can get rid of those things you're holding on to except you. And it really is worth it to let it go. I hope you believe that, because I've seen people who are just miserable because they refuse to let things go. And it's so depressing, and it's so hard to watch somebody just wither away, excuse me, because of negative emotions. So I hope that if you learn anything from me, it's that it's not worth it to hang on to negative emotions like anger and depression and resentment. It really is worth letting it go and moving forward and find happiness for yourself. Here's the best piece of advice I can give you. If you see a chance to be happy, you grab it with both hands and don't let go. Okay? Because not all of us will find chances to be truly joyful. And if you find one, just don't give it up. It's not, it's not worth it. If you have a chance to be happy and joyful and at peace, you grab it and you hold on for dear life. And consider yourself blessed to have found that chance to be happy. Happiness is not overrated. And I have moments of sadness and depression, and I'm glad for that, because if I didn't have sadness and depression or anger in my life, I wouldn't know what the good emotions are. If I didn't experience bad ones, I would have no frame of reference for what a good one is. It's because of the bad experiences and the bad emotions that we have that we're able to see the good in life, to feel the happiness, to feel the joy, and not just to feel it, but to recognize it. So don't ever feel like, your anger, your sadness has no purpose and that it's a mistake. It's not. Without darkness, you could never recognize light. You know what I mean? And it's the same thing with negative emotions. Without those negative emotions, you could never recognize positive ones or experience them in the same way that you do. So this is Olivia. Isn't she pretty? Sorry, I got some spray on her arms. I gotta wipe them off. And this is a 2T that she's wearing, and it is a little big, but it's not super big. It's really cute on her. I like it. And she's, again, the Katie Marie by Ann Timmerman. I hope everybody's having a great night and is finding some peaceful time and enjoying time with their families. And I love you guys, and I will see you in the next one. I'll see you on the flip side, guys. I hope you take care of yourselves and each other. Good night, ladybugs.